What happens if Wrexham is forced to play in Wales? Normally, Welsh clubs like Wrexham, Cardiff and Swansea compete in the English pyramid, but I've completely changed that. I moved Wales's biggest clubs back into the Welsh League and made them qualify for Europe through Wales. This is a world where Welsh clubs are making deep runs in Europe, but how far can they go? Which club will go the furthest? And can Welsh football take over Europe? Let's find out. What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I put the Welsh teams that play in the English league system into the Welsh Premier League, and this was actually an idea suggested in the comments on my last video by Teak0k or TeakOK. So thank you so much for that suggestion. I thought that was a great idea. And if you guys have any other suggestions, put them in the comments below. And yeah, let's find out what happens. But before we get into it, I also want to thank you guys so much for the support on the previous video. We hit over 2,000 views, which is insane. And we also went from 3 subscribers to 18, which is incredible. So thank you so much for watching and liking the video. And yeah, let's get into it. So as you can see, the Welsh Premier League now has 17 teams, and I've added Wrexham, Swansea, Newport, Merthyr. I tried looking up how to pronounce that correctly, but I'm still unsure. But I think Merthyr, something like that, and Cardiff. And yeah, I will simulate one season at a time for the first 5 seasons, I think, to see how the new Welsh teams do in the league. And then we'll make some bigger jumps, maybe 5 years, to see if there's any impact on Welsh coefficients and if the teams manage to qualify for Europe and maybe win some trophies or anything like that. So yeah, I'll see you after the first season. One quick thing to add before we start this experiment, just as a baseline to look at, is that Wales start off as the 49th country in coefficients in Europe, which is obviously something that we will monitor across the years to come. The highest ranked team for Wales on coefficients are the New Saints at 150th. So we'll see if we can get a team any higher than that as well. Okay, here we are after season 1, and this is what the table looks like. Swansea won the league ahead of Cardiff, Wrexham and Newport. In 5th we have the New Saints, and in 6th we have Merthyr. So the New Saints, the only team that could beat out any of our previously English league playing teams. And maybe not unsurprising if you didn't know, the New Saints are the team dominating Welsh football over the last 15 years. You can see they have won all but 2 of the titles over the last 15 years or so. And yeah, this season it was Swansea who won. 7 points ahead of Cardiff, another 1 point ahead of Wrexham. And then there's a much bigger gap down to Newport, who are on 65 points, so 17 points behind Wrexham. Maybe not a huge surprise that the championship teams are the ones playing the best so far. But I think what will be interesting to watch over the next coming years is if the previously championship teams can hold on to this strong position, because they obviously will receive less prize money for winning the league or playing well, and maybe that will have an impact on retaining the players that they currently have. So they might level out with the other Welsh teams over time, but I guess that's something we will keep an eye on moving forward. Also interesting to note, maybe you have already noticed, but Swansea did go unbeaten the entire season. So that's impressive, and I think even more impressive, over the 32 games they only allowed 7 goals, which is crazy. But yeah, shows how dominant the championship teams currently are when you just put them in the Welsh League without changing anything else. But before I ramble on too much, I think not a lot will have changed other than that. Looking at the club coefficients quickly, we can see that no Welsh team made a significant run so far, which isn't surprising because none of the teams we added to the league will have played in Europe yet. But obviously they will qualify for Europe through the league now. So next season we will see Cardiff and Swansea and Wrexham play Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, and we'll see if they can manage to go anywhere, I guess. Alright, here we are after season 2, and this time Wrexham won the league ahead of Swansea, Cardiff, the new Saints, who actually finished above Newport this season and in a European spot, and Merthyr finished down in 8th, clearly the weakest of the Welsh teams we added. The gap has come down somewhat between the top 3 and the next team after that. I think last year was 17 points, this year it's only 11. But we again have an unbeaten team. Last year was Swansea, this year it is Wrexham, who finished on 90 points ahead of Swansea on 85 and Cardiff on 80. So still, those 3 teams clearly the most dominant teams. And like Swansea did last season, Wrexham only allowing 7 goals over 32 games, which is crazy. Let's move on to looking at coefficients. We'll start by looking at the nation coefficients. And remember, Wales started out at 49th, I think, and they've actually fallen so far down to 50th. But I can see that they accumulated 4.125 points this season. Let's see which teams actually managed to go anywhere in Europe. We can see that Swansea actually accumulated 7 points. So what did they do? If we look at their fixtures, we can see that they actually managed to go into the Champions League phase. So they started on the Champions Path first qualifying round and beat Lincoln from Gibraltar. Then they beat Red Star, then Sheriff, and finally Bodo Glimt, which actually qualified them for the league phase, where they lost to Brest, lost to Salzburg, drew Arsenal, lost to Juventus, lost to Stuttgart, lost to AC Milan, lost to Bayern, lost to Dortmund. They, I guess, finished probably second to bottom, because they had 1 draw, right, against Arsenal. But it's a start. They actually managed to qualify for the Champions League. The other teams that played in Europe this season, Cardiff were eliminated in Conference League qualifying in the second round. Newport were eliminated in the Conference League qualifying first round, and Wrexham were also eliminated in the Conference League qualifying first round. So yeah, that's season 2, our first measure of how these teams will do in Europe, and I think Swansea qualifying for the Champions League is an encouraging sign. So let's move on to season 3. Okay, here we are after season 3, and I can see that Swansea currently have their manager position available, so maybe they didn't do so well this year in the league. Let's have a look. They finished 3rd, but that's apparently enough to fire their coach, especially given they only finished 2 points behind league winners Cardiff this season. So all of our 3 top teams have won the league over the first 3 years. This year Cardiff winning the league, unbeaten. Wrexham finishing 2nd, also unbeaten. That would be really disappointing if you go unbeaten but don't win the league. Then Swansea in 3rd, Newport in 4th, the New Saints in 5th, and we have Merthyr down in 13th, and the gap between Swansea and Newport is again really big. This time 25 points, the biggest we've seen so far. and the New Saints another 11 points behind. So the gap is not yet closing, and I'm still curious to see if that will happen. Let's see how the teams did in Europe this season. So last year's league winners Wrexham played Champions League qualification, and can see that they played the Europa League phase, so they didn't manage to qualify for the Champions League. They actually managed to go all the way to the Champions Path playoff, where they then lost 2-0 on aggregate to Ludogorets, which then qualified them for the Europa League, where they finished last. On 2 points, their draws were against Monaco and Genk, but still not enough to finish anywhere else but last. They only scored a single goal, which is really sad. Last year's second place Swansea did not manage to qualify for the Conference League, which is surprising considering they qualified for the Champions League the season before. Cardiff also didn't manage to qualify for the Conference League phase. And last year's fourth place team, the New Saints, managed to go to the third qualifying round, but were then eliminated and also didn't make the league phase. All of that put together still managed to elevate Wales from 50th to 47th in the nation coefficient standings. So maybe they are now on their way up. Let's move forward another season. Alright, here we are after season 4, and firing their manager maybe was the right choice for Swansea, because this time they won the league and they won 30 of 32 games, so a very good season for them, finishing on 91 points, 7 points ahead. Second place Cardiff, then Wrexham, then Newport. Merthyr seemed to have established themselves as a mid-table team, but the other former English playing teams seem to still be ahead of everybody else. Newport this season finishing 20 points ahead of the New Saints, and for the first time they were actually close to one of the, I will call them top 3 teams, only finishing 1 point behind Wrexham this year. Last year's champions Cardiff went through the Champions League qualification, but were eliminated in the third qualifying round, which sent them into the Europa League playoff, where they also lost, but they then played in the Conference League phase, and there they finished in 10th. So they made the playoff knockout, and in that playoff knockout round, they went up against Ferencváros, and there they beat them 2-0 in the second leg, which was enough to send them into the round of 16. And in the round of 16, they then had a tough task of playing Leipzig, and they sadly lost 2-1 in the second leg, which eliminated them 4-3 on aggregate. Wrexham sadly lost on penalties in the Conference League qualifying playoff. Swansea was eliminated in the second round of qualifying, and Newport was eliminated in the first round of qualifying. So other than Cardiff, no other team managed to qualify for the league phase. But Cardiff making it to the round of 16 had a big impact on national coefficient, as Wales is now in 41st. So they are on their way up, and I hope that continues. Alright, welcome to Season 5. The league is still being dominated by our formerly English league playing teams, this year being won by Swansea again, and again going unbeaten, winning 30 league games, finishing on 92 points, 9 ahead of Wrexham, who are second, Cardiff in third, Newport in fourth. This year the gap to Newport was a bit bigger again at 13 points and another 11 points ahead of the New Saints. And Merthyr make an appearance in the top 6 again. So nothing really new in the league. It's still Swansea, Wrexham, Cardiff top 3, and usually Newport in fourth. Let's look at how they did in Europe. This year, Swansea followed in the footsteps of Cardiff last year, losing in the third round of Champions League qualifying, losing in the Europa League playoff and therefore making it to the Conference League phase. There they finished in 17th with wins over Helsinki and RFS from Latvia and draws against Young Boys and Celje. And in the knockout playoff round, they were drawn against Grasshoppers, and after a 2-2 in the second leg, they went through on aggregate. But again, the round of 16 was the final stop for our Welsh team, again only going out on aggregate by 1 goal after a 1-1 draw in the second leg against Osasuna. Our second place team from last season, Cardiff, made it to the Conference League qualifying playoff. However, there they lost 5-0 on aggregate to Fiorentina. Wrexham went out in the second round against Partizan, and Newport also failed to qualify for the league phase, going out in the first round of qualifying. However, another Conference League round of 16 appearance sees Wales now in 34th in the nation coefficient rankings. As for the club rankings, our highest placed team currently is Cardiff, who are in 183rd. So not yet higher than what the New Saints were in the beginning at 150th. Okay, so after these first 5 seasons, I think we'll now do a little bit of a bigger jump 5 years into the future to see if any other team can win the league other than our established top 3, if these 3 teams or any other team can go further than the Conference League round of 16, and how far Wales is able to push up into the nation coefficient rankings. Alright, here we are after season 10, and there's a familiar team at the top of the table in Swansea, but I think if you look at the points, it seems that they are not as dominant anymore. Instead of winning the league on 90, 91, 92 points, they only managed 78, with Wrexham finishing in second on 77, Cardiff in third on 76, but there's still a big gap to Newport, who finished fourth. We have a new team finishing in fifth in Connah's Quay Nomads, and then we have the New Saints and Merthyr sadly finishing in 16th and getting relegated to the second division. But let's look at the past winners of the last 5 seasons, and we last looked in 2030. After that, Swansea won their 3rd consecutive league title, then Cardiff won, then Swansea won again, and then Newport won their 1st league title. And this season, as we saw, Swansea again. So they are definitely the best team, but it's really cool to see that Newport were able to win a title. Let's now head to our coefficient standings and see where Wales stacks up after 5 years. And would you look at that, they are in 22nd. And as you can see from the points, it seems that they did especially well this season. But let's look at the best results from the last 5 years. And the best finisher 5 years ago was Swansea, who actually made it to the Europa League phase, where they finished in 28th but managed to win 2 games. And 4 years ago, Wrexham also made it to the Europa League phase, where they finished in 31st with 1 win and 2 draws. But they were not the best Welsh team in Europe that season, with Swansea making it to the round of 16 in the Conference League, going out on aggregate by 1 goal against Red Star. 3 years ago, Cardiff was the best performing Welsh team, making it to the Conference League knockout playoff, but losing against Monaco. However, Swansea maybe did even better. They didn't earn more coefficient points, but they managed to qualify for the Europa League, where they went out in the league phase, finishing 3rd to last with 4 draws. However, last season, Swansea finished in a playoff knockout place in the Europa League phase, After winning 3 games and drawing 2, they finished 15th. In the knockout, they faced Genk and beat them 3-1 on aggregate, moving on to the round of 16, where they then lost to Arsenal 3-0 on aggregate. Then this season, Cardiff managed to make it to the Conference League round of 16. They finished 17th in the league phase, winning 3 of their 6 games. And in the knockout playoff round, they went through 3-2 on aggregate, but lost in the round of 16 to Kairat Almaty. But the biggest coefficient points haul for our Welsh team so far came this season from Swansea, who you may have seen in the table. They finished 8th and qualifying directly to the round of 16 after winning 4 of their 6 league phase games. In the round of 16 they beat Norwegian side Molde 5-3 on aggregate and then played Osasuna in the quarterfinal, where they sadly lost 4-2 on aggregate. But that is so far the best result we have seen in Europe by a Welsh team, making it to the Conference League quarter-final. And yeah, that has put Wales 22nd in the Nation Club coefficients ranking. Swansea is now our highest ranking club, ranking 70th, and I think over the next 5 years they can do even better. So let's move forward another 5 seasons. Alright, welcome to season 15. This year we have Wrexham as champions, Swansea in second, Cardiff third, and Barry Town United qualifying for the Conference League. But most interestingly, I think, is you can see that the point spread has decreased a lot. Wrexham won the league only on 72 points, and teams like Barry Town United finished on 64, the New Saints on 57. So the league has gotten a lot closer, but has it gotten better in Europe? And looking at our nation coefficients, it has gotten better, but only slightly. Over the last 5 years, Wales went from 22nd to 21st. Last season, Cardiff qualified for the Champions League phase, where they finished second to last with only 1 win. But the real good results of the last 5 seasons came last year from Swansea, who finished 7th in the Conference League phase, winning 4 of their 6 league phase games. In the round of 16, they beat Rijeka from Croatia. In the quarterfinal, they beat Punic from Armenia 3-1 on aggregate. However, their journey was once again cut short by Leipzig, but they made it all the way to the Conference League semi-final. By far our best result yet. However, another great result came from Wrexham this season, who finished 10th in the Conference League phase with 3 wins and 2 draws from their 6 games. In the knockout playoff round, they won against Puskás Academy 2-1 on aggregate. In the round of 16, they beat Panathinaikos 3-1 on aggregate, but then fell short in the quarter-final to Osasuna on penalties, after a valiant effort in the second leg, winning 2-0 away from home, but just came up short. And I have to be honest, this is going a lot better than I expected it would go. So I would say let's just move forward 5 years again and again until we maybe see a slowdown and we eventually hit maybe the maximum we can achieve without intervention. But for now, we haven't hit that barrier yet. So let's move forward another 5 years. And here we are 20 years into the future now. And Newport are our current league winners, tying on points with Wrexham. But They're only on 62 points. So I think this league has gotten very competitive and very even in terms of quality, which we can see by Cardiff and Swansea finishing only in 6th and 7th respectively, outside of the European places, and the New Saints also only finishing 8th. I also realized that I never showed you the league winners from the previous set of 5 seasons, which were Swansea, Cardiff, Swansea and Wrexham. But I have no idea how to pronounce this correctly, but Haverfordwest County? Haverfordwest County? Something like that. They actually won a league in 2041, the first team that didn't come from the English league system since we started this experiment to win the league. That is awesome to see. And we also see that Barrytown United over the last 5 years finished runners-up twice. So I think maybe the money that our previously English league teams are bringing in through European competitions are trickling down to the other teams in the league, and they are now becoming more and more competitive. However, sadly, this has not resulted in Wales moving up in the national coefficient rankings, as they still sit in 21st. But we can still look at if any of our Welsh teams have gotten far in any of the European competitions. So here are the best European results from the last 5 years. 5 seasons ago, Swansea made it to the round of 16 in the Europa League, where they sadly went out against Red Star on aggregate. Haverfordwest County, the season after they won the league, actually somehow made a run in Europe, making it all the way to the Conference League knockout playoff round, where they sadly lost 3-1 on aggregate against Konyaspor, but still a great showing from them. Newport 4 seasons ago made the Conference League round of 16, where they were eliminated 1-0 on aggregate against Spurs. That is heartbreaking. And the last notable result from the last 5 years was Wrexham being eliminated on penalties in the Conference League knockout playoff against Hajduk Split. Other than that, our Welsh team sadly did not manage to go any further in any European competitions. So let's hope the next 5 years are better than this. And sadly, they weren't. Wales fell all the way to 28th in the nation club coefficients over the last 5 years. But what gives me hope is their score from this season. But let's start out where we should, in the Welsh League. Our past winners over the last 5 seasons were Wrexham, then Newport 3 times in a row, and then Cardiff for the first time since 2038. And we can also see that Merthyr finished runners-up twice. So they seem to have turned it around as well. After being relegated many seasons ago, they seem to have made their way back and built a much better team. And looking at the league table, once again, we can see that the league is very even now. There are 10 points between 1st and 10th. So a very competitive league now. The New Saints are only 11th this year. And we have Caernarfon Town. I have no idea if that's right. It's probably pronounced completely differently. But they're a new team, finishing in the European places. So there are a lot more teams that we need to look out for when it comes to those European coefficient points now. In the European competitions, 5 seasons ago, Newport made it to the round of 16 in the Conference League, where they again lost to Osasuna, who seemed to be a nemesis for all Welsh teams. 4 seasons ago, Cardiff made it to the Conference League knockout playoff round, where they lost to Brest. Last season, Wrexham made it to the Conference League knockout playoff round, where they lost to Antwerp. This year, Newport made it to the Champions League league phase, where they finished 31st on 6 points. But our best result in Europe over these last 5 years came this season from Wrexham, who finished the Conference League in 12th. In the knockout playoff round, they beat another Welsh team, Barry Town United, 3-1 on aggregate. Bit of Welsh rivalry maybe developing in Europe. In the round of 16, they actually beat Sevilla 2-1 on aggregate. In the quarterfinal, they won 5-0 on aggregate, making it all the way to the semi-final of the Conference League, where they sadly lost 5-1 on aggregate to PSV. That was the best result, and tying our best result so far, a Conference League semi-final, which still, again, gives me hope that these Welsh teams can go further than this, if we just keep the faith and continue simulating into the future, which I will obviously continue to do. Alright, here we are after season 30. Our most recent champions are Wrexham, once again, who won the league by 1 point this season over Swansea. And looking at our past winners of the past 5 years, we have a new league champion in Barry Town United, who also came in second 5 seasons ago. And we also see that Swansea once again returned to the top spot for the first time in almost 10 years. And Merthyr still going strong, finishing second in 2 of the last 3 seasons. So they seem to have turned it around as well. Let's go and check out how Wales is doing in the coefficient points. Oh my god. Wales is in 9th. They're in 9th. How did that happen? How did they go all the way to 9th? I'm sure that tells me that we are gonna see some crazy results from some Welsh teams here. Okay, so starting with Newport 5 seasons ago, they made it to the Europa Conference League round of 16, where they lost on penalties to Cardiff, which is really unfortunate because otherwise we potentially could have had 2 Welsh teams in the quarterfinals. However, that means that Cardiff made it to the quarterfinals, where they then lost to Alaves. Then 4 years ago, we had Wrexham finishing 7th in the Europa league phase on 16 points, sending them directly to the round of 16, where they then sadly lost to Brøndby 2-1 on aggregate. Then 3 seasons ago, we had Connah's Quay Nomads making it to the round of 16 in the Europa Conference League, also then losing to Alaves. We had Newport also making it to the Europa Conference League round of 16, losing to Panathinaikos. And we had Swansea finishing 23rd in the Europa league phase, making it to the knockout playoff round. However, there they lost to VTSC from Portugal. Then last season we had Wrexham making it to the Europa League knockout playoff round, where they lost to Union Saint-Gilloise. But we also had Newport making it all the way to the Europa League quarter-final, where they then lost to Ajax. But for the most incredible story so far, last season we had Barry Town United finishing 4th in the Conference league phase. In the round of 16, they played against Lens, which they beat 4-1 on aggregate. In the quarter-final, they beat Watford 6-1 on aggregate with a 4-0 win in the second leg. In the semi-final, they beat Rapid Vienna 3-2 on aggregate with a 2-1 win in the second leg. Going into the final, our first final of this save, where they played against young boys and beat them 2-0, becoming our very first European trophy winners. Barrytown United, which I really did not expect. I thought it would either be Wrexham, Swansea or Cardiff, but it's Barrytown United who is the first Welsh team in our save to win a European trophy. That is crazy. However, they could not repeat their success this season, but they made it to the Europa League knockout playoff round, where they then lost to Roma 5-0 on aggregate. This year we also saw Wrexham making it to the Conference League knockout playoff round, where they lost on penalties to Rapid Vienna. We had Swansea making it all the way to the round of 16 in the Conference League, where they then lost to Rosenborg. We had Newport making it to the round of 16 of the Conference League as well, where they lost to Monaco. And our best performers in Europe this season, Merthyr, made it all the way to the quarter-final in the Conference League, where they then also lost to Monaco. So as you can see here, we had 3 Welsh teams in the round of 16 of the Conference League this season. And even though only Merthyr made it out of this round, I think it's a really good sign to see that we have 3 teams making it into the round of 16 in any European competition. That means that we have a really strong league with multiple competitive teams. So that is a really good sign moving forward, I think. And that's what we're gonna do. So let's move forward another 5 seasons. Alright, and here we are, another 5 seasons into the future. So 35 seasons into the save. And our champions this year are Connah's Quay Nomads, ahead of Cardiff, Merthyr, Barrytown United and Bala Town, which I don't think we have mentioned so far. So we can see many of the teams that didn't come from the English pyramid at the start of this save are now matching the teams from the English pyramid and even surpassing them. We can see that Swansea is down in 12th, Wrexham is 7th and Newport is 6th. So these teams are not dominating the league anymore. And we can see that also in the past 5 champions, with Connah's Quay Nomads winning 3 of the last 5 league titles, Merthyr finally winning their first league title, and Cardiff also winning another one. Alright, looking at the Nation Club coefficients, Wales is still in 9th, which I think is a good thing, that they haven't gone down, which means that they have been able to maintain their success. Remember, the reason they jumped up to 9th was with Barrytown United winning the Conference League. So maybe that means that another team has made a really deep run into one of the European competitions over these last 5 years. Alright, so 5 seasons ago we had Merthyr making it to the quarter-final of the Conference League, and we had Barrytown United making it to the round of 16 in the Conference League. 4 seasons ago we then had Barrytown United again making it to the round of 16 in the Conference League. But we also had Haverfordwest County making a run all the way to the semi-final in the Conference League, where they only then lost to Roma. Then 3 seasons ago we had Newport making it to the knockout playoff round in the Conference League, and we had Connah's Quay Nomads making it to the quarterfinals in the Conference League, where they only just lost on penalties to Spurs. Last year was a bit of a down year, with only Connah's Quay Nomads making a significant run in Europe, making it all the way to the quarter-final of the Europa League, where they were bested by Newcastle. And this past season was probably the most disappointing of all, with the best performing team being Connah's Quay Nomads, who finished in 34th in the Champions League phase with 0 wins and 3 draws. So maybe this is the beginning of the end for our Welsh teams and their European runs. And guys, 5 years into the future again, I think it might be over. Wales fell all the way to 14th, but a positive sign might be that the past 2 seasons Wales has picked up a lot more points again. So maybe it's not the end yet. But again, we start in the Welsh League with our past 5 champions being Merthyr twice, Cardiff Town once, Wrexham, and then Barrytown United again. And our new emerging European powerhouses might be Merthyr, now being ranked 41st in Europe. Alright, starting off 5 years ago, we had Merthyr finishing 4th in the Conference League phase. In the round of 16, they beat Ghent 4-3 on aggregate with a 2-0 win in the second leg. In the quarterfinal, they beat Maccabi Haifa 3-1 on aggregate. And in the semi-final, they faced off against Sturm Graz and beat them as well 5-3, become the second Welsh team so far making it to a Conference League final. In that final, they would face off against Fiorentina, who they went on to beat 3-1, becoming our second Conference League winners. Other than that, we had no significant European run 5 seasons ago. And 4 seasons ago, it was the same story. This time it was Cardiff who were the only team making a significant run, but they only made it to the round of 16 in the Conference League. 3 seasons ago was a very disappointing season, with our best performers being Barrytown United, who only made it to the knockout playoff round in the Conference League. But I showed you in the beginning that the last 2 seasons have been very good for Wales, and they start with Barrytown United making it to the quarter-final in the Conference League, only losing by 1 goal on aggregate to Brøndby. And after eliminating Barrytown United, Brøndby would face Merthyr in the semi-final of the Conference League, and this time our Welsh team was victorious, making it into the final once again. This time, however, they faced much tougher competition in Liverpool and couldn't find a way to win, losing 3-1. So what about the latest season? Merthyr could sadly not repeat their run to the final once again, losing in the round of 16 to Brøndby, who they beat the season before. We also had Newport making it to the round of 16, where they then lost to Como. But we have another finalist on our hands in Wrexham, who this year won the semi-final on penalties, facing off against Spurs in the Conference League final. However, Premier League competition was once again too much to handle for our Welsh team, as they lost 1-0 to Spurs. And that is where we will end today's video. I'm not sure if we are going to get much further without any intervention, but that is not what today's video is about. But I think we've been very successful with 4 Welsh finalists and Barrytown United and Merthyr winning the Conference League 1 time each. I think this has been very fun, so thank you once again for the suggestion in the comments. And once again, thank you very much for the support on the last video and also for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you again in the next video. If you don't want to miss it, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I will see you next time.